here, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting. A movement of people, it's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the poor where the business is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time, my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Have you downloaded the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. Also, make sure you subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast, powered by KBLA Talk 1580. Did you know we're the only Black-owned and operated talk station west of the Mississippi? Huh? Did you? Well, now you know. And be sure to spread the word. I want each and every one of you to know how much we really enjoyed having you at the KBLA 4th anniversary barbecue celebration on Juneteenth. I was not able to be there. I had to be here on the East Coast, but I have gotten an earful from a number of our leaders, learners, and listeners, and some of my colleagues who really had a great time being in community. That's what we are about. We are going 4 years strong, and we couldn't do it without you. And so I want to say a big thank you to all of you that not just tune in to the show each and every day, but tune in to a lot of our shows here on KBLA Talk 1580. And for folks who turned out to celebrate with us in person during that barbecue. Also, I want to thank you for the generosity. Those of you who came out with, restaurant gift cards and grocery store gift cards, supporting our brothers and sisters and siblings who are still recovering from the Altadena wildfires. We thank you. Can't say thank you enough. Now, with that, it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Trump is lashing out at Israel and Iran amid accusations of ceasefire violations. This is what we know as of now. President Trump said that he is not happy not happy that Israel fired more rockets at Iran, adding that he's also displeased with Iran. He said today that he believed both sides violated the ceasefire, adding on social media that the truce remains in effect. Of course, Trump announced the ceasefire hours after Iran launched a strike against the Qatar airbase. As for that nuclear program, the U.S. strike set back Iran's nuclear program several months, according to some sources, but initial assessment would appear to contradict Trump and Netanyahu's claims that Iran's nuclear capabilities were, quote, obliterated by the U.S. attacks. And so, we're seeing that maybe about a half an hour ago, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said that the U.S. attacks on Iran obliterated Iran's ability to create nuclear weapons after this detailed assessment reported that the attacks set back the program only by 3 to 6 months. He said, based on everything we've said, or based on everything we've seen, and he says, I've seen it all, our bombing campaign obliterated Iran's ability to create a nuclear weapon. And so I would imagine in the coming days and weeks, there's going to be a lot more intelligence that comes out officially, but more likely leaked, that offers us some sense of what really happened. I think it's very interesting that the president and the administration so quickly sort of declared victory, right? I mean, usually these assessments take a little bit of time, but very quickly it's like, okay, most successful attack ever. Moving on to the next thing. And so we'll continue to keep an eye on this. We know that the Israel ambassador to the United Nations says that it's early to jump into conclusions about the damage to the Iran program, saying that we have to wait for the assessments. So it's not just me saying it. You have the Israel ambassador, Danny Danon, who had shared as much, saying, quotes, I'm sure that the U.S. have their own intelligence, but I think it will take some more time to look at the results. But one thing for sure, Iran is not a threat today to Israel, to the Middle East, to the stability of the world order. And so we are continuing to keep our eye on this conflict because we know what happens there. It impacts us here. What is allowed to happen there impacts so many other parts of the world. And so we'll dig into more headlines when we come forward. But first, Amanda Edwards. She's a Democratic candidate for Texas's 18th congressional district. I had a conversation with her that you don't want to miss. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Are you facing an unexpected financial emergency? You need WeFixMoney.com. WeFixMoney.com could help you get up to $3,000 fast. WeFixMoney.com is free to use, available 24/7, and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Go to the name you trust, WeFixMoney.com. If you need emergency cash up to $3,000 for bills or anything else, type WeFixMoney.com directly in your browser. That's WeFixMoney.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's cal-cruise-news.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe
These
today.
are the things that we need to be having our leaders.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests. As we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai and delighted to welcome back to the show Amanda Edwards. She's the congressional candidate for Texas's 18th district. Welcome back to the show, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Well, thank you so much for being here. First things first, orient our leaders, learners, and listeners to the state of the race. We know that politics in Texas have shifted in recent years. Democrats used to write off Texas, but Texas as a state is becoming more competitive, even though the district that you're running for was formerly held by the late Sheila Jackson Lee.
Absolutely. So first of all, we have experienced quite a bit of loss in the 18th congressional district. Within less than a year of each other, we lost Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and Congressman Sylvester Turner. Now there is a vacancy for that 18th congressional district seat. And of course, for context purposes, this is the seat that was once held by the late Barbara Jordan. It was once held by the legendary Mickey Leland, Craig Washington, Sheila Jackson Lee, and then, of course, Sylvester Turner, both of whom have passed within less than a year of each other. So this is leaving a big vacancy in not only the representation available to the 800,000 people that live in the 18th congressional district, but also nationally as it relates to the voice that is needed in our community on a national front that we're accustomed to having. And so we've got a situation on our hands where when there is a vacancy in Texas, our governor has the ability and legal right to determine when and if he calls a special election. And so, unfortunately, we've seen some politics get played over the interests of the people, and the special election was not called as early as it could have been called. It could have been called as early as May. Instead, it is now going to take place on November 4th, 2025. And so, that is a prolonged period of time with people not having a voice, a vote, and an ability for someone to advocate for federal funding and all the things that happen out of a congressional district. So we've got some laws that need to be changed on the local level in terms of vacancies. And what we also have to do is now think about what ought to happen at this next leg of the journey. The seat is typically held, as I stated, by a Democrat, but we've got to create a community where everybody can thrive in a very challenging moment. And as you know, we are living in very challenging times. And so there is going to be a need for somebody to be nimble, solutions oriented, experienced, and impact driven when it comes to going to the Washington, D.C. of 2025.
I mean, I really appreciate you giving us sort of a quick summary of the state of the race and a quick civics lessons in terms of the role of the governor, Governor Greg Abbott in this case, in terms of being able to decide when a special election will be called. I just want to dig a little bit deeper in terms of the politics of that. Do you think that the governor purposely delayed calling a special election so that the people of the 18th district would not have a voice in this budget fight? We know that the reconciliation bill is currently sitting with the United States Senate. If House Republicans have it their way, we're talking about an $800 to $900 billion cut to Medicaid, restructuring the federal student loan program, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth in terms of the fact that just in looking at the $900 billion worth of cuts to Medicaid and what that's going to mean in SNAP benefits and so much more. We are in a district that has a significant number of people who use those sorts of benefits. And so it will disproportionately adversely impact the 18 congressional districts. So I'll start there. Second, as he's called this the big, beautiful bill, this House bill that was passed only passed by a margin of one vote. One vote. Had I been in the congressional seat, I could have been the one vote to block that big, beautiful bill from passing to begin with. So yes, we are watching and witnessing politics be played with people's lives, and the ability based on our state law to preclude someone from serving in the seat because it allows so much discretion to the governor. We've got to change that, because we should never allow our politics to have people be taxed without representation. And not having that 18th congressional district voice, I'll just kind of go over the timing. If you count the time from when Congresswoman was no longer able to vote and passed away, and Congressman Turner passing away in this delayed special election, that will mean that of a span of 24 months that this district will have had no voting representation on its behalf. So over a span of 24 months, it will have been 18 of those 24 months where there would have been no representation. That's egregious. That's unconscionable. And that is unfortunately the state of our political landscape today, that we are willing to allow 800,000 people to be without representation because we want certain bills to be able to be passed without their presence. And that, of course, is the type of dangerous gameplay that is creating the havoc that we now are living in today. We have got to get to a space where we are serious about putting people over politics. And I talk about this all the time, my personal story. I take this very, very seriously. When I was growing up, my father was diagnosed with something called multiple myeloma when I was 10 years old. And he died from it when I was a teenager. But when I was witnessing his experiences, I remember asking him when I was a teen, well, what happens if the insurance, what if they say no to the life-saving treatments that my dad needed? And I just remember my dad responding, well, if, we would just have to figure something else out. And I knew then, and I know now, that that actually was not the right answer. And the right answer should have been that we actually have systems in place that actually help people and that work for people and that save lives versus become indifferent to them. And, policy and politics and all of this has to be about more than gamemanship. It has to be about more than this, the acquisition of power and control. We are dealing with real people whose lives lie in the balance of the decisions that are made and those that are not made. And so we have got to put people into these spaces and places that can be trusted with the public trust to do right no matter what the consequences, even on your party side, but to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I don't care if you didn't vote for me. And and when I get into office, I'm there to represent every single person in that district because that's what you take an oath to do, oath of office to do. And we've got to start thinking in those ways because you otherwise will continue to see things like the gamemanship that just took place with this big, beautiful bill that now will cut $900 billion of the social safety nets away from people from Medicaid. When you stop having people have the opportunity to have healthcare access, the opportunity to support their families, feed themselves, house and clothe their family, you're creating desperate circumstances, which cannot end well for our broader community. So we've got to be a lot more vigilant about the laws that we put into place, the discretion that is allowed, but then moreover, put people in place that can be trusted with discretion to do the right thing, no matter who's watching.
I really appreciate you sharing your very personal story about your dad. I think it really offers us a window into not just your character, but the real life experiences that have shaped your life as a public servant and that you believe will shape your life as a member of Congress if elected to Texas's 18th district. I want to ask you, what do you think is missing from the Democrats? There are a lot of folks that believe that Democrats right now are sort of lost in the wilderness. Democrats appear to be leaderless, even though clearly there's a DNC chair and Ken Martin. Clearly there's leadership in the House and the Senate, though in the minority. But one of the things I often hear from folks is that Democrats are acting like a minority party and not an opposition party, and are not really sort of tapping into the people power and the energy. So much of that we saw during the No King Day protests, and that we will see perhaps on July 17th with the Good Trouble protests that are being planned in honor of John Lewis and others. Talk to us about, from your vantage point, as somebody who's running to add to the Congressional Black Caucus, to add to the Democratic caucus. What do you think's missing, and why should you be the one to fill it?
I've been out in the community, knocking doors, talking to residents at their events, meeting them where they are. And one thing that has been consistent throughout this period has been people look at me, their eyes as wide as saucers, and say, what can be done? And they have this look of just anxiety, of anxiety and stress on their face. They know what's happening is very bad, and they want direction. They want clarity. They want to take action. They don't know how to do so. And what President Trump has done with the moment he'd stepped foot into office, executive order here, whether it was birthright citizenship being challenged, you name it, he was creating mayhem and chaos in order to cause people to get overwhelmed. And then, of course, once you're overwhelmed, this is shock theory, right? To then disengage. And once then people say, I don't want to hear it anymore. I can't handle receiving this information at this time. I'm going to retreat and disengage. And so you've got a lot of people who have encountered that moment. They're disappointed from what happened with the presidential cycle and Kamala Harris not winning the presidency. They're overwhelmed by what they're seeing in the news, what they're hearing, and then the lack of a vision and plan on how we get out of this also creates for them a high level of anxiety and stress. And so as they watch their rights get dismantled, as they watch their rights to accessing education, healthcare, economic stability, all those things go away. And so people are very anxious to see leadership emerge with clarity, with direction on how do we take this moment and fight in this moment for what we believe in and what needs to happen. I often say I grew up playing sports. When I was growing up, we had to play offense and defense. We didn't get to sit on the bench or sit on our hands or be on our heels when it was time to play defense. And it's time to play defense. And it's also time for us to, at the very same time as we play defense, still have a vision for what is it that we are trying to achieve overall. And I'm going to say this because Project 2025, that's not new. The mandates and conservative leadership have been around a long time. They were just rebranded in this particular election cycle. And so the notion that there isn't a forward-looking plan on the Republicans, they have one on the Republican side. That's part of 2025. But on the Democratic side, where are we with our plan? What is our vision? We've got to create that. Go back to the civil rights movement for just a second. During the civil rights movement, we were not always in power. We weren't always the majority. We weren't always having the competitive edge offensively. We had multiple strategies, right? You had litigation strategy. You had your legislative strategy. You wanted the Civil Rights Act passed. You wanted the Voting Rights Act passed. You had protests and advocacy happening as well. You had these three pillars. And so all of them had a role to play in the broader goal of bringing equality to our community. And we need to start thinking in those terms, in terms of how do we have a legislative agenda that once the timing is ripe, we can push it forward. How do we have a litigation strategy right now that's advancing and protecting the interests of the public that we seek to serve? How do we have a strategy in place right now that engages folks in a demonstrative fashion and with protests and leadership that you described that's going to be taking place on July 17th? These are the things that we need to be having our leaders help to create a vision around, and then they need to be working. One of the challenges I think that we are facing right now is that one side is not talking to the other side. So if somebody's boycotting a business because of its anti-DEI practices, for example, why not tell them to take that money that they were boycotting that business with and instead use it for things like the ACLU lawsuits against these executive orders that are overreaching? These are proactive ways we can have more engagement.
Yeah.
And we
yeah.
should have, and that we should have more engagement.
Yeah, Amanda, in our remaining minutes, I have to ask you this. I know that you are a proud Harvard alumni.
Yes.
We know that Harvard has been in the news quite a bit. Share with us in about a minute or so what lessons leaders in higher education should glean from some of the fights that Harvard has been dragged into and some of the fights that Harvard has sort of pursued when it comes to the current administration?
Yeah, I mean, I think it doesn't want to be bullied. I mean, simple case and simple, will not be bullied. They're going to stand next to their principles, convictions, values as an institution. And sadly, we have a president who is still willing to, again, compromise the society to make a point and to get into a fight. Think about I talked about the research. I talked about my father's illness when I was sharing with you the importance of us putting people into office who are really going to be focused on people rather than all this political gamemanship. We need the research to be being done to save lives in instances like my father and others. We need focus, our academic institutions like Harvard to be able to focus on that kind of work and that they do so brilliantly. We've got to understand that our actions and behaviors have longer term implications than the fights that we're in today. And we've got to act responsibly. I think Harvard has, stood up for itself. Unfortunately, we have a president who, would rather see the lack of research than in order to make a point, and rather see life-saving research get stalled out instead of helping, allowing our universities to continue to do what they are designed to do. And so we're in a very unfortunate moment, but we've seen unfortunate moments before. So I don't want people to be so discouraged that they remain disengaged. We need them to fight again. And this is a reminder. And what Harvard is doing is a reminder, you can fight, you can stand up. It's okay. And we've got to fight for what's right, because you're going to look back at this moment and say, what was I doing? Was I sitting on my hands? Was I on my heels? Was I being passive and taking a nap until this is over? I mean, these are not acceptable ways in which to approach a moment like this. And I know, like I said, I know a lot of people feel disappointed and discouraged, but the same reason you were fighting in October when you were block walking, phone banking, and raising money for Kamala is the same reason we need you fighting today, if not harder, because of the fact that Now those items and those issues and, all of this is under attack. This is time.
You're right. And I just want to draw a direct line between, this fight at Harvard and the fight that a lot of institutions of higher education find themselves in. I know Houston has a number of great universities, including Rice University and the University of Houston and my brother's alma mater, Texas Southern University.
That's where my parents met.
My parents met at Texas College in Tyler, Texas, and so we have that in common.
Listen, I love it. I love it.
Yes. Well, good luck to you on the campaign trail. Where can people go to follow you and support your campaign?
Yes, please visit our website at www.edwardsforhouston.com. You can sign up to volunteer virtually and you can make a contribution online. I'm also on social media. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at AK Edwards TX. I'm on Facebook as Amanda K. Edwards TX, as well as Instagram and TikTok as Amanda K. Edwards TX. So I'm everywhere.
Sure are. Thank you, Amanda K. Edwards, Congressional Candidate for Texas's 18th District. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Closing arguments in Sean Diddy Combs' sex crimes trial are set for Thursday. Both sides rested today with no witnesses or rebuttals. Combs did not testify, saying it was his choice. NBA star James Harden is facing a sexual assault lawsuit filed in Texas this week. A woman claims Harden's nephew, Justice Armani Blackburn, assaulted her at Harden's home on New Year's Eve. The suit alleges Harden's security removed her friends from the house, leaving her alone, and accuses the Clippers guard of negligence for creating unsafe conditions. She's seeking $100,000 in damages. And a section of West Levee Road in Memphis is now named Rep. Johnny Turner Highway in honor of Black civil rights leader and former state rep Johnny R. Turner. The sign was unveiled Monday for her 85th birthday. Turner, a retired educator and NAACP leader, marched with Dr. King and championed justice laws. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Santa Clarita, the 14 northbound past Newhall Avenue. There's a wreck in the next to the left lane. It's got traffic stopped from the 5 freeway, adding a little bit of a delay to your drive. Also in Lancaster, the 14 northbound past Avenue J. There's a crash in the left lane. In Carson, on the 405 southbound past Carson Street, a wreck. The 2 middle lanes were taken up with the wreckage and traffic was stopped from the 105. That's probably adding a half an hour to your drive time.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Lakers fans will be happy to hear this. NBA sources are saying that Luka Doncic has been incredibly committed to his offseason conditioning. He's on a strict diet and has been doing a lot of cardio training. Some people have seen photos of Doncic and they say he looks slimmer. After the Lakers were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by Minnesota, Coach J.J. Redick said some players on the team need to get in better shape. One of those players was Doncic, who the Lakers are counting on to be the new face of the franchise. Doncic was under orders to commit to an offseason conditioning program. A new and improved Doncic will help the Lakers justify trading Anthony Davis to get him. The LA Sparks will try to snap a 3-game losing streak in the WNBA tonight in Chicago against the Sky. The Sparks are 4-10. Live coverage on NBA TV at 5 p.m. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Well, thank you. Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time. Whenever news breaks, while we're on the air, it's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580. And we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. And I thank you, thank you.
Nearly 7 million Americans aged 65 and older are living with Alzheimer's disease, also known as AD, a type of dementia that affects memory, thinking, and behavior, making everyday tasks challenging. But did you know that Black adults aged 65 and older are twice as likely as white adults to develop AD? There are things you can do to help reduce your risk for developing AD. Managing conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure is crucial. Staying physically active, maintaining social connections, eating a healthy diet, and keeping your mind engaged with activities like reading or puzzles can all contribute to brain health. It's also important to recognize some common signs and symptoms of early AD, such as forgetfulness that causes problems with everyday life, asking the same question a few times in a row, and difficulty concentrating on basic tasks. If you see these signs in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com. This message is brought to you by AZI.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me!
National news of consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Amanda Edwards, who's running for Congress in the 18th Congressional District in Texas. If that sounds familiar, it's because that was the seat that was previously held by former Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner. May he rest in peace. Also, the late, great Sheila Jackson Lee, Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, who held that seat for so many years. As Amanda mentioned, Barbara Jordan, Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, she held that seat. So many distinguished members of the Congressional Black Caucus. And so here on A More Perfect Union, we see what happens in that district as a bellwether race for us to track. But you are also familiar with the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Amanda and I talked quite a bit about that. And just while we've been on the air, there are reports that Senate Majority Leader John Thune versus the polls on the Big Beautiful Bill. You see, Senator Thune admitted that Democrats, quotes, have done a good job out-demagoguing President Trump's Big Beautiful Bill. That's what he told Axios today in an exclusive interview. And in case you're wondering, well, why does that matter? It matters because Republicans know that they're down at halftime with the polls looking ugly. Some people might say so ugly they oogly on the overall package. But parts of it are very popular, and Senator Thune thinks that they can run up the score after the final bill is passed. He says that Congress doesn't do comprehensive well, and Democratic arguments about slashing Medicaid or letting billionaires have tax cuts are just the early arguments that people are hearing. That's what Senator Thune said in this exclusive interview with Axios. He called it hard to effectively talk about a bill this big. and warned that changes to Medicaid could earn the GOP a level of backlash that Democrats felt on Obamacare. That's what Senator Tom Tillis, Republican of North Carolina, that's what he told Punchbowl News, right? But Senator Thune thinks that the GOP is going to be fine once there is a final law to talk about. He says you're going to be talking about, quotes, all the individual components of this that are incredibly popular. And so we're all watching this, as we should, because Senator Thune is betting that you and I and most Americans that we don't have a good idea of what's in the bill. And so he predicts that specific measures, border, national security, or energy or tax related, will actually surprise voters in a good way. That's the bet that he's placing. He says, quote, people say, oh, I didn't realize that. I really like that. This is in there. I didn't know that. And I think you're going to hear a lot of that. And so I hear that as saying they're going to distract. They are going to try and pull attention away from the terrible parts of this bill that will no doubt be very consequential in our communities, that will negatively impact our communities. They're going to try and pull focus. And they're going to say, hey, here, look at the no tax on tips. Don't you want that? You know, don't you want no taxes on your Social Security? Don't you want that? Isn't that nice? Right? And this bill may very well have components of it that are compelling, right? But if at the end of the day, you have no tax on tips, but your health care has been cut, how does that net out? How does that come out in the wash? And so we're going to continue to follow this very, very closely, as we know that it impacts our communities a great deal. And by the way, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, as much as folks like to talk about those as quote unquote entitlement programs, let me be clear that we pay into that lifeline. We pay into that, right? You think somebody else can pay for our Social Security? Somebody else is paid for Medicare, Medicaid? No, the people pay into this. This is the people's money. This ain't nobody's private B of A account. And don't let them make you think that that is the case. Also, just sort of sticking with Congress for a second, clearly we're just talking to one Black woman that's running for Congress in Texas. One of the current members of Congress that happens to be a Black woman with a district in Texas, Jasmine Crockett, making a bit of news. The Griot reporting that Representative Jasmine Crockett's bid to be the top Democrat on the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, it ended abruptly. It ended when the Congresswoman announced that she's dropped out of the race following a preliminary recommendation vote from her colleagues. The Monday vote among Democratic members of the House Committee on Steering and Policy, it resulted in Crockett's last place finish. And as a result, Representative Crockett removed her name. She removed her name from the bidding. And today, House Democrats ultimately elected U.S. Representative Robert Garcia of California as the committee's ranking member. That's right. That's the same Robert Garcia that formerly served as mayor of Long Beach. And so he is already the ranking member on the House Oversight Committee. That is a big deal. On Monday night, Representative Crockett, she took to social media to explain her decision to drop out of the race, revealing that there were, quotes, questions about her candidacy that she admits caused some issues. However, she didn't really get into detail, but she said there's some questions. Long story short, this is what she said. Long story short, there have been recent questions about something that just wasn't true, because I'm always loud and proud about everything that I have to say, and it did cause me some issues for sure. And so without getting into specifics of what the quote unquote issue, what that quote unquote issue was that played into the committee vote, Representative Crockett explained that caucus politics are different from the real world. That's what she said. And she's now serving her second term in Congress. Representative Crockett has emerged a popular voice within the Democratic Party due to a number of viral moments that she's had, particularly on that committee, on the Oversight Committee, including clashing with Representative Nancy Mace, who, remember, she challenged Jasmine Crockett to take it outside. And we cannot forget the clash that will live on forever, at least on the internet, with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, which notably resulted in Crockett's now famous phrase, beach blonde, bad built, butch body. We're not going to forget that. And so no doubt, Representative Crockett will continue to be a very important voice in the Democratic caucus. She'll continue to be an important voice on that committee. She just won't be the ranking member. And so I'm sure we'll have Representative Crockett on in short order. But congratulations to Representative Robert Garcia, homegrown from LA County, now the ranking Democrat on the House Oversight Committee. That is nothing to snuff at. When we come forward, it's time for the Quiet Part Out Loud. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Pasadena City College is proud to support Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr. For over 100 years, PCC has been a pillar of the community, and we're here for you as we work together to recover from the Eaton fire and rebuild Altadena's future. At PCC, we offer diverse career education programs that prepare you for in-demand jobs, fueling both today's recovery and tomorrow's growth. Whether you're starting a new career or advancing your skills, PCC gives you tools to build your future and your community. Pasadena City College, here for the Dena, here for you. Learn more at pccfordena.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by Advocate.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you, working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I've been talking a lot about that so-called Big Beautiful Bill. I talked about that earlier with Amanda Edwards, who's running for Congress in Texas's 18th district. I just shared with you sort of an update from Capitol Hill, a recent exclusive interview that Senator Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, did, sort of talking about how Republicans at least intend to navigate the conversation around the so-called Big Beautiful Bill and the really big nightmares that the bill represents, at least in the eyes of a lot of Democrats and people of conscience. And so keeping with our updates, very important updates related to healthcare, that healthcare impacts us all. NBC News reporting that RFK Jr., our Health and Human Services Secretary, well, he says that health insurers promised to change prior authorization process. He's setting his eyes on this, saying that the country's largest health insurers have promised to take steps to streamline the often criticized prior authorization process, which can delay or deny patients access to care. How many of us, I'm raising my hand already, how many of us have had to go through a process to get a procedure or maybe medication, pre-authorized in order to get what we need? Well, they say they're going to do something about it. Prior authorization is a cost-cutting tool used by health insurers that requires them to sign off on tests, sign off on procedures, sign off on drugs before patients can get them. The insurance tactic, it's drawn renewed attention, drew renewed attention last year after the fatal shooting of Brian Thompson. Remember, the CEO of the United Health Insurance arm, United Health Insurance arm in New York City. Well, patients and doctors, they say that prior authorization creates too many roadblocks, forcing people to wait days and weeks for needed treatments or denying them altogether. About 1 in 6 insured adults say that they've had prior authorization problems. That's according to a survey by KFF. Well, what are they going to do about it? We know this is an issue. I know this is an issue. Many of us experience this, whether you have an HMO or a PPO. It don't matter. We are all subject to this prior authorization nonsense. Kennedy says that, Secretary Kennedy says that a number of large insurance companies, including Blue Cross Blue Shield Association, hey y'all, Cigna, Elevance Health, GuideWell, Humana, Kaiser Permanente, and United Healthcare, they all pledged to make the changes, which will be implemented across private insurance, Medicare Advantage, and Medicaid. And so we'll look to see. Look, even a broken clock could be right twice a day. And there may be a lot of things that is happening in this administration and under the Secretary of Health and Human Services. But this may be a good thing. If they're able to deliver on this, this may offer us all a little bit of respite, because it is no fun having to run through the prior authorization Hunger Games for your medication, for your test, for your procedure, right? I mean, my goodness, like, why is the insurance company all up in our business? All up in our business. I've talked on this show often about a procedure that I had done, I think maybe a year and a half ago at this point. You all might remember that I had a polyp on my vocal cord, and it was affecting my speech. And, I had to see 5 different doctors from coast to coast in order to get the right diagnosis in terms of what was going on. Everybody told me, oh, get some rest and drink more tea. And, are you wrapping your throat with a scarf? It told me everything but what it was, which was a polyp that turned out to be bigger than they thought once they went in on my vocal cord, impacting my speech. And so I know a lot about what it takes to be your own patient advocate, to get those prior authorizations. I ultimately had to come out of pocket in order to get the test that I needed to properly to get the proper diagnosis. And I'm not alone. And so these things matter. These things impact all of us. I am no different from anybody else. Where you go to the pharmacy to pick up your prescription, and say, oh, well, wait a minute. This hasn't been authorized. What you mean it hasn't been authorized? There's the prescription. And so these are issues worth fixing. And whoever fixes them, Democrat, Republican, Green Party candidate, right? In fixing issues like this is also how you build a more perfect union. This is how you build more confidence in the fact that our government can do things that make life better for everyday people, right? Ultimately, when we come together, it should feel like, okay, you're making my life better and not harder. And so we'll continue to keep our eye on this as this story develops, but that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank the Village that helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tabitha Smiley, our sound engineer, Brother Andy, to our show producers, Faraji and Art, and of course, each and every one of you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners. We thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back again, same time, same place, tomorrow. Until then, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and you've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears praised the action. California Congressman Robert Garcia has been elected Democratic leader of the House Oversight Committee, filling the spot left by the late Rep. Gerald Connolly. He beat out Reps Kwasi Mfume and Jasmine Crockett, who are both black, and Rep. Stephen Lynch in a 150-63 vote after winning key support from the Democratic Steering Committee. And the Supreme Court has agreed to hear a religious liberty case involving Damon Lander, a former inmate in Louisiana and a devout Rastafarian. Lander is suing after his dreadlocks were forcibly shaved by guards, arguing the hairstyle is a core part of his faith. His attorneys are seeking to hold individuals